All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is the day that we've been waiting for. Finally, we are going to be installing this motor into the Deathkart Solstice. So my buddy Lewis is here today. We're going to be working on this thing. So me and Lewis we bought this car, a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Right about then.
So we bought this car, we went half and half on it. And so that's always been the plan, was to buy it, strip it, turn it into a Deathkart, and something completely street legal. And so I just pulled it out of my other garage, and we're going to get ready to tear into it today. So the plan today is really just to hopefully get the stock engine and transmission out. We're going to pull it out as one unit, just because we think that might be the easiest way. And that's it. And then probably the next time we'll have to start pulling the engine and trans apart, put on the adapter, the clutch, all that good stuff. But today we'll take you through as we try to rip all this out. So right now we're in the middle of doing a compression test because once we get this motor pulled out, obviously we don't need it, so we're going to be selling it. So if you guys are interested, let us know. We just did compression test on cylinder number, I don't know, 1 for us. We don't know what number, but anyway, it was 160. So we're going to check the other 3, make sure they're all within range, and should be good to go. So we made it through the first 3, and actually we were like 160, 160, 162, and 80. So we definitely have some issues with the rings, probably some broken ring lands. So anyway, the motor is obviously going to be good for a core, rebuild, whatever. It still runs and starts, but all the plugs were kind of pretty carbon fouled anyway. So anyway, this will be up for sale. Make us an offer. We're here in the Detroit area, and we've got the turbo. This turbo actually only has around 40,000 miles. We just swapped this out last summer. And we'll probably be selling all this stuff, the intercooler, the piping. We actually have a GM Stage 2 with the harness kit. So we've got that new sensor. There's literally probably like 10 miles on it, maybe a little more, maybe 100. And same with the other map sensor right there. So all that stuff's new, all the swap harnesses and all that good stuff. Right now we have pretty much all the electrical disconnected except for the starter wire. So we got to crawl under there, get that off, and then all the electrical will be out. And yeah, from there, just got to see what's next. Probably the transmission mount, the drive shaft, and then the motor mounts. And we should be pulling it out, right? Anything else?
Get her out. Time to go.
So yeah, so far it's just falling apart just like always. So we've had a bit of a change of heart. So originally we were going to actually pull the motor and transmission as one. But after kind of getting where we've gotten, we figured, forget that. It looks easy enough to just pull the turbo and the manifold, which we just had off like 6 months ago anyway. So we're just popping that back off, and then it looks like there's enough room that we can actually get to all of the transmission bolts. We already got the exhaust off, all that stuff. Plus, what we didn't think about was when I got underneath the car, I saw there was exactly 64,000 bolts underneath that need to come off to even reveal the transmission. So didn't really count on that. So I'm thinking it's going to be easier. We just leave it there, and we just pop the motor out, and then we can take the new motor and slide around in there and do our mock-up and all that stuff. So let's see how it goes. 10 minutes from now, we might be coming back saying plan aborted, but that's the way we're rolling right now. All right, so at this point, we've already got 5 of the top bolts out. We're just working on one of the last top ones, and then I'll crawl underneath, pull out the other few bolts, and then we'll probably go get the cherry picker and get her set up, and then take out the 2 motor mounts, and we're just gonna try to slide the engine out, and she'll be out. We're gonna try to pull this out. So far, we under the top of each motor mount, we're gonna see if we can just get it enough to clear, and then come forward, clear the transmission. We left the transmission completely intact. So we're gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the video on so you guys can kind of watch play by play. So we got the motor finally out. We just got to finish pulling it out. We had a bunch of friends in here over the winter time, looks like some I think a chipmunk. I always see a chipmunk going in and out of my little garage, so looks like they somehow got in there and they were living in here having a good old time. So, all right guys, so we're back. We got the engine completely out and we've been sitting here for some time now just kind of talking about the wiring. So
The wiring, all that.
the wiring, it was horrible. So we were originally planning to kind of keep this stuff and kind of go through it and figure out what we could still keep that was related to like the gauges and the headlights and taillights and all that kind of stuff, and keep the factory BCM from the Solstice. But after kind of talking about it, there's not much to this cart, right? We have taillights, headlights, we got a brake light switch, we've got a clutch switch, fuel gauge, not much stuff for us to run. So we're thinking to actually just completely snip this thing right out of here completely, and then we'll just go back and make our own harness for all the stuff we need, like headlights, taillights, all that stuff. Our engine has a standalone harness. What do we have, a PSI harness?
Yes.
I think it's PSI. So we have a PSI standalone engine harness, so we don't need any of this stuff for that. That's gonna run with 4 wires, 5 wires, and then we can just figure out the wipers and those few things and just utilize the factory ignition, the factory switches and the wipers and all that stuff. We're gonna get rid of the gauges and we'll probably end up going with something else, maybe something that plugs into the OBD port or something else like that. So that's kind of what we're thinking. Might be shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't know just yet, but that's what we're gonna do right now, is go and pull all this junk out of here. Right here at the firewall, we actually weighed it. That whole harness, including the fuse block, was 25 pounds just for this section. Not even including, all the stuff that's inside, which we're gonna remove later. So now we just got out here, we're just trying to power wash it. So, it goes from ugly to a little better. So we're gonna get this cleaned up and then we'll probably get it back in the garage, start ripping out some of the interior stuff, because there's a lot of useless wiring and stuff over here. So we're gonna get that all out of here, and then we're just gonna make our own harness for the stuff that our engine doesn't have. And you can see the difference. Hopefully it's surely a lot cleaner. So the plan is to go ahead and scuff all this stuff, primer it, and then we're gonna go and spray it all with the same real metallic-y sparkle paint that we did everything else with. So we'll kind of do all this, the firewall, all this stuff silver. And then what we're thinking about doing is actually, we really like the blue, the sparkle blue that's on the main part of the cage. So we're thinking to actually do the rest of the cage portion. So just this, and then the front bumper, all blue, and maybe doing the same thing on the back. So just do that in the blue also, just to kind of give the car a little more pop. I think a lot of the silver just kind of blends in. So I think the blue would be pretty awesome. Or, maybe on the back, we even just do this bumper red, because we got the red there. So maybe we do a red pop. And then I think up here, the blue would be cool with the, we already got the red wiper. So maybe that'd be pretty slick. All right, so we're at the point we're trying to install our FabBot adapter so we can still use our Solstice transmission with our LT engine. So we got the adapter installed, then the clutch slave adapter. What we're working on right now is the slave cylinder. So we opted to get the dual AN line. So one AN line is for the bleeder, and then one AN line replaces the original, factory plasticky rubber line. So he's just driving out this pin, and then I think this pops out, and we'll be able to put in our adapter for the AN line, and then we got to pop this thing out, put in the AN line too. So it's going pretty good. We did have one little issue where this little bolt right here ended up stripping out, actually. Kind of crazy because it's really thick, but ended up stripping, so we were able to put in one of the factory bolts, which was longer than the ones that FabBot supplied, and then that was able to grab enough where it's pretty tight. It's still kind of stripped, but at least now it's good, so we should be fine. Right, guys, so we just got our lines ran for the clutch bleeders and the actual clutch line too for the slave. So we ended up just drilling a little bit of a hole here through this piece of sheet metal, and we kind of got this everything where it's going to go. Next, we're going to go ahead and pop in the bell housing, and then we'll actually probably just do like a pressure test of the clutch and maybe even bleed it. So we've got a cool remote bleeder also that we ordered with the kit, so we can just hold this thing up, do a remote bleed it in 2 seconds, and be done with it. So really, really cool. All right, fellas, so this is where we're gonna end it for tonight. So we got the we got all this stuff. I can't even think, it's like 9 o'clock. So we got the bell housing on, we got all the lines ran, So they all look pretty good. So we tried to bleed the clutch, but then we realized you can't really bleed the clutch unless it's pushing against the clutch. So didn't really work. So we're gonna wait on that. But otherwise, she's pretty cleaned up. Next thing, maybe in the next week, I'll just do some prep work, try to get this painted, and then we'll be good to go. Next time, be a bunch of fab work to get the motor mounts in, right?
Get the motor mounts done, start getting everything set up, staged, and ready to hear a fire.
Yeah. So it looks pretty cool. Like we even mocked up the motor mounts, and looks like they're kind of gonna fit right in there, kind of straight up. It looked like, so should be pretty easy for us to fabricate all that. So lots of work, but should be worth it. So all right guys, thanks for watching, and check back soon. We'll have another video hopefully in the next couple weeks.